Hi friends, today is all about the harvest season and we're going to do some great vegetable side dishes, some southern favorites, some American favorites. We're going to do some collard greens with mustard greens, and we're going to do some Texas southern style green beans. You're going to have to watch to find out what that's about. We'll do some corn on the cob and a broccoli salad. So we're kind of enjoying the nice flavors of summer. So I'm going to get started. Kind of have my pan already heating up, and I don't want it to get too hot and not put anything in there. So we're going to start with some bacon. And this is the green beans we're starting with this recipe. Now I have a small batch. So I'm just going to take two nice thick slices of bacon. Now you're going to want to double or triple this depending on how many people you have. It's just my husband and I just want to make one one serving for each of us. So I'm going to take that bacon and I cut it in maybe 1/2 inch slices, you can see. And we're just going to put that in here. If I was doing a large batch, I would, you know what, I think I need to put, well, I was like, I don't know if I need it to put oil in here because I got this pan so hot. But this will render down in a moment. So I got to put my fan on. Sorry for that noise. But I don't want the smoke detector to go off. And I can turn that down some now that I got this going. I had to shut you down for a second. It was getting smoky in here. I had to open the side door, let some air come in. I don't want to get the smoke detector off. So I turned this on medium low, and that is rendering down really quick. So I got to move quick. And right now, I think we're safe to turn this down to low. I'll have to go over this when I go to edit to see if you can still hear me with that fan. So I've got about 1/2 of yellow onion, and I'm only going to use about 1/4 of that. So I said we're just having a small portion. And I'm going to cut that into 2 pieces and just put that in the pot. I think I'll let this render down a little bit more before I put that in there. So next step is, this is so easy and you're gonna like, you've never made this, you want your family to eat their veggies, make this. You're gonna be like, where have you been all my life? I grew up in New England, and we're going to, before I go on to my little chit chat, let me let you know what we're doing. We're gonna take these lovely green beans. Look how nice those are. Nice and fresh. And we're going to take off those little stems there and then break them into nice bite-sized pieces. Probably most of them either in half or in threes. I like them not too big. But anyway, I grew up in New England, and maybe these were a thing, but gosh, I never had them. And I lived in Connecticut the first 19 years of my life and never had these. Now, if you're from New England and you make these kind of green beans and you always have, please give me a shout out. Because I don't know. I don't know what's wrong, but never had them. And I'm trying to remember when I might have first had them. Now, I went to college in Tennessee. I lived in Georgia a little bit, so maybe I had a little inkling of it, but I didn't live there all that long, so I don't remember. But my most memorable time of having these green beans is certainly in Texas. We lived there 7 years, and oh my goodness, I would get these everywhere. And then pretty much I just, when I'd go out to eat, I'd either pick collard greens or the Texas style green beans because they're so good. Now you just want to examine your green beans if they're, I mean, this one looks okay. It's a little darker here, but just pick the best parts. I feel all in all these are pretty good. It's the beginning of the season and you generally can get some good ones. But after they've been in a little season for a while, you don't always get. And I almost was tempted to go out and get some more because I'm like, oh, I'm doing this segment. And I'm like, I don't have that many. I'm only doing a side dish. And I was like, oh, I should go get more. But then I'm like, okay, but we're really not going to eat all that because I have the collard greens and I got the corn on the cob. And I'm going to have the broccoli salad. So, you know, it's only so much you can eat. And I don't want to eat it all myself, even though it's so good. So I'm just snapping these up. And I'm waiting for this to get good and rendered and a little crispy. Let me get you a good little shot there. Sorry, am I making you seasick? All right. Let's go back here. And let's put our onion in now. Ooh, splattered that. Don't splatter it. Don't throw it in like I did. That was not smart. This already smells good. So what I do with these green beans, this is so simple. I just season them with some salt and pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and I take a little bit of beef stock. Some people use chicken. You can use chicken stock or beef stock. And I do the onion, the bacon, the green beans, and a little bit of stock. Now, because this is a small portion, I'm not going to use a ton. Oh, I really wish I went to the store and got more to do this justice. But you can get an idea. If you've never made this, you're going to get an idea of how to do it. And maybe you'll want to start with a small batch because you're like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to like these, but I know you will. But you know, but some people are not into bacon. You could use smoked turkey. That would be great flavor. You could use turkey bacon. Um, you could use trying to think. Well, you could use some, like I said, pork salt. I was watching Paula Deen one time, and she uses, I think it's called pork jowls or something, which I've never done that. Of course, she's a real awesome Southern cook, so she knows what she's talking about. Yeah, that one's all right. Let's see this. All right, put that. I'm going to take the green beans and just dump her in there. Get them good and coated. This aside, I'm going to get me some hot water. My tea kettle, and I've got a teaspoon of the that wet beef stock, and I'm not going to do about 3. Well, no, I think I need a whole cup. Yeah, a whole cup of hot water. I'll let that dissolve a little bit in the water. So now I'm going to just take a little bit of salt. Remember, this is a small serving that I'm doing, so if I was doing this for a regular sized family, I would triple this recipe. Salt, little pepper, little onion powder, not much, and a little bit of garlic powder. And the reason why I use like garlic powder and not whole cloves, because I don't want to scorch my garlic. You don't want to have that bitter taste. So that smells so good. I feel like the beef stock really makes this really good. Now, one thing I will mention is there's a restaurant here in Washington that they make these green beans, and it's a Black Bear Diner. I like to go there. Anyway, I think they use the Italian style green beans, which those are the fat, wide green beans, and I don't see them around here in the stores or in the farm stands. So either I'm overlooking it. If you're a Washingtonian and you're able to get Italian style green beans, let me know. So let's take a little look at this. It looks so pretty. I want you to see it. Isn't that pretty? And we can take those big onions out when it's done cooking down. But I like to eat them. But people that don't like onions, they're not going to want to bite into that. You can take it out and they won't even know. Well, unless they live with it and they smell it, you cook it. But most people, well, I find a lot of people that don't like onions, they don't like texture. I don't know so much if they don't like the flavor. We're going to carefully pour that in. And I think this needs another half a cup of water. We're going to put the lid on and let this simmer. This is so simple, right? Half a cup. I thought on this segment, I was thinking, I should make some nice homemade iced tea because it just seems to go with the whole thing. Put that in there. Got the beef stock in there. We're just going to let it cook down a little bit so it absorbs all those flavors, and we'll let it cook a bit, and then we'll take the lid off to let some of that liquid cook off, evaporate off. We're going to make the corn now. So I have about 2 cups of water boiling here, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of sugar, not much. I'm only doing 2 ears of corn, so I just want about a teaspoon of sugar. Would add probably a tablespoon if you had maybe 5 or 6 pieces, and I'm going to cut these down because I think it's easier to handle when you have it in smaller pieces. Now, in here, you see I have a cup of milk. I haven't put that in there, but that's my secret. My mom always did that. At least I can remember, and I think it helps the corn get sweet. You don't have to cut ears in half if you don't want. Maybe you like the whole ear, but this works out good too if you got, not everybody maybe wants a big piece of corn. So let's put that in here. Put it in the pot. We got that sugar to dissolve. You have that really boiling. Now we're going to turn it off and we're going to pour a cup of milk in there. And we're going to put the lid on and we're going to keep it there for probably 6 to 8 minutes. And it'll keep cooking because of the heat. Now, let's take a look at our green beans and see where they're at. They've been cooking a good half an hour. Oh, you know what? I got cornbread in the oven. Let me take that out. I don't want it to get over brown. And this is not from scratch, so sorry. Because I was making all this stuff and I said, well, I'm going to use my favorite store-bought recipe brand and make it that way. But let's take a look. So these are probably getting pretty soft. That pan lid is, and a lot of the juice didn't soak down yet. But let's, oh, they're nice and soft. I'm gonna go a tad a little bit. I think it needs a tad or more of a little salt and pepper. And that's how I do season it to taste, because you don't want to put too much in the beginning because you can't take it away once you put it in there. But you can always add more if you need it. And you know what I'm going to put in there? I'm going to put a little dash of cayenne pepper. You don't have to do this. And it really doesn't heat it up. You just use a little dash. But it gives it a nice flavor. So let's do that. I'm going to put this up a little bit higher so I can get some of this liquid to cook down. So we'll be back to do our corn on the cob in a little bit. We're going to make the corn now. We are back with our green beans and our corn is done. I'll show you how nice and bright and yellow that is. I let them be in there 10 minutes. The heat was off, so we'll be good. Hopefully I didn't overcook it with just going a few minutes over, but I think we'll be okay. And I did turn these over a little bit halfway through. See how that nice and yellow and bright that looks. So let's get some of that on a plate with some butter. And let's strain it over here. So we want this to cool down so we can do a taste test, right? I'll put that in here. I'm going to take some of these green beans. And there really is only like enough for 2 servings, so with that. I probably didn't even need as much bacon, but a little bit of extra bacon don't hurt anybody. So let's get, oh, I do have the butter right out here. I need a knife. And I like to load up the butter on my corn. I don't know about you. I'll turn that vent off now. Oh, that's better. So I did all this today, so I didn't want to make the homemade cornbread. And I don't eat it that much. I like cornbread, but you know, there's certain ones you like and certain ones you don't. We're going to put a little salt and pepper on that. Now, I can remember living in an upstate New York, and summertime, at the end of the summer, when it's harvest season, oh my gosh, we'd have the new potatoes and cucumber slices with just a little bit of vinegar, big tomato, beefsteak tomato slices. Oh my gosh. fresh green beans, fresh corn. Now, in New York, upstate New York, they always would say knee high by the 4th of July. I bet you other places say that too. I don't know how fast it grows in other places, but it grew pretty fast. And I lived in a place called Schoharie County, and they have some of the best soil on the planet. Well, at least in this country, they have some of the richest soil. You know, Schoharie County in New York, upstate New York, is the breadbasket of the Revolutionary War. You might not have known that. So that's why they're just known for wonderful crops, and people from other countries come to check out our the agricultural there in Schoharie County. They have the most amazing corn on the cob there. I've yet to find anything. I've lived in quite a few states. I lived in Connecticut. Now Connecticut has really good corn also, but I've lived in Ohio, Georgia, Texas, Hawaii, Washington. So that's what Tennessee. So, but I would say upstate New York has the best corn on the cob. So it's like, what do I want to try first? Maybe I'll eat this because it's less messy compared to. So here we have our southern Texas, I'm going to call them my Texas southern style green beans that are cooked in a beef stock with onion, a little bit of seasoning, and of course some lovely bacon. So let's try that. Oh, when you let it soak in and get soft, all those flavors just get in there, and you can taste a little bit of that. A little bit of a kick from that cayenne. It's not too much though, because if you've watched my videos, you know I'm a big wimp when it comes to too spicy. So if I can handle it, you can. Oh my gosh. I could eat the whole pan of that. That is delicious. You're going to want to try that. All right, now let's try the corn on the cob. I think that cooled down a little bit, enough for us to eat that. Let's get a little closer. We have it nice and drenched in butter. And gotta have real butter, no margarine, okay? That's nice and sweet. That is good. I was a little concerned because I got that in the grocery store this season for the corn, right? But I would have preferred the farm stand. Well, that's really good. So that's what we have today. I'm gonna go sit down and finish this, but I'm gonna continue on this video. I'm not sure what order I'm gonna do, but I have the collard greens, and we'll have some broccoli salad. So don't tune away. We'll be back. So with the collard greens and mustard greens we're going to go ahead and prep them. I wanted to start prepping them before I get cooking the meat and everything. These I've rinsed well 2 times already. But so many of the videos that I saw on making these, they rinse them really well. And I don't make these a whole lot. I haven't made them in several years, so I had to refresh refresh how to make them. And I think I kind of remember maybe the first time I did them that didn't rinse them well, and they could be a little gritty. So because you didn't get all the dirt. Now these are pretty good because the collard greens, I feel like you could see the dirt a little bit better, but I'll show you with the mustard greens. So what you're going to do is, you see this big stem here. Now there's different ways, different people. Some just pull around along the side like that. That's pretty easy. And you can just, and we'll put that in our little bowl. Now, some people don't like any of the stem, and some people don't mind some of them. So that's one way you could do it. Or you can take your knife and just go along, and that's real easy too. And then like cut off. I don't mind a little bit of the tender bit of the stalk. I really don't mind that at all. When we lived in Texas, I used to get collard greens and just lay them on top of each other while I talk. Just wanted to bring that part. I'm going to cut them. I like that technique. I feel like it's easier to handle them in the long run. But yeah, when we lived in Texas, I took advantage of that. I had collard greens a lot when we would go out to eat. And I don't know. I haven't met too many collard greens I don't like. And I've had it with smoked turkey, bacon. I don't know if I've had it with ham hocks or not. But that's what some of the people usually do. And I think the last few times I made them, I think I made it with bacon. But this time I tried to get some smoked turkey. I thought, oh, that'll be fabulous. But I couldn't find it in any of my local grocery stores. And I only looked in 2 or 3 stores, and I'm like, okay, that's enough looking for now. Let's do Plan B. And I was going to I might still add some bacon, but I got some neck bones, and I think I got some kind of pork. We'll take a look at that to go in that. So, see how we've got the leaves? And I'm not going to take these all at once. Let's take half. And then you're just going to roll them up like a cigar. Roll it tight. And you can put them in slices you like. I see people do them in bigger slices. I'm going to do mine like maybe a 1/2 inch width. Probably could get away with 1 inch because these really cook down. Let's put these over here for now because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. And I'm just taking the rounded part of it and starting from there and to roll into where the stem was. Now this is so simple. And these, like I said, they cook down quite a bit. So you can chop them the size you like. You want bigger pieces, or if you rather have a smaller. I don't like it too small, but I don't like it too big either. So we're going to take our little basket and put them in here. I said this is going to be our 3rd rinse. I want to make sure we get any leftover sand. So let's go on to rinsing these. Give me a moment. I'm going to turn the camera around. All right, so I've got this pretty full with water, and I'm just going to give myself enough room to play with that a little bit. And you can let them soak in there a little bit, and we can go on to cut up the mustard greens while that's soaking. But it's nice to play with it a little bit because you can really shake loose any extra. I don't have my glasses on right now, so yeah, I think we're pretty good because I did soak them pretty good the 2nd rinse. So, but let's go ahead and cut up the rest of those greens. All right, we're pulling out these mustard greens. I would have gotten, I wish I had gotten 2 packs of mustard greens when I was in the store because I was thinking, oh, I only need, see, I rinsed these and then put paper towels around them. So it won't go bad. But I was like, I won't need all these. And then I forgot really how much they cook down. So these, see how different these mustard greens are? They're definitely thinner and they're very curly. So they can hold in some sand pretty good. So, boy, and I had these on I think the top shelf. They got a little bit like extra crispy. I hope they're not frozen. Add a little. I feel some of the tips are like questionable. And you're just going to go down the middle on those. Obviously, you're going to cut that big stalk off. And I don't know, these seem tender. These, when you get up in the leaf. So, but let's pull it off. I don't know how stringy they are. It's so long since I made mustard greens, so let's go ahead and get those cut up. And this probably will take a little bit longer because there's a lot of leaves on one stalk, stem. I don't know what you want to call it, but all right. On these, because they're a lot thinner, I'm just going to go ahead and give them a little bit of a rough chop. I'm going to probably give them a good inch because they definitely are fluffier. But you could see how this is folded in half like this. I could just, on the slant, go down the side and cut that out. Boy, if I had chickens or if I had a compost, I would definitely put that in there. I live in an apartment, so I don't have a compost. I suppose you could in apartment living, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to attract the rats. I don't know. I don't know if you can compost in apartments. If anybody knows that, let me know. My daughter, she composts at her house. I should like save stuff and put it in the fridge, but I always have good intentions of doing that. Then I'm like, I need the space, so I gotta come up with a plan. I always feel like I hate to waste all that. It'd be so excellent for compost. So I'm just putting it in a pile. I could put this in another bowl. I just don't want to wash another bowl, so I'm just gonna put it on my stove top because I don't have the stove on yet. So let's go and cut those up, and then we're gonna rinse those. All right, I've had this in the water the whole time I was chopping up the mustard greens. I'm gonna get this other colander, and I want to scoop these out. I want to take a little bit of close-up of the water and see really if it was still pretty gritty or not. So the first 2 times I rinsed them whole, and then this last step I cut them up. So yeah, it's a little bit cloudy. I think they're pretty good, but there still was a little bit of gunk on them. Not much, but yeah, I see some sand in there, so it was good I did it. Not like much. So let's give that a good rinse. And I'm using cold water. I'll give that a good rinse. Let's get our basket of mustard greens. Put that in here. This is really going to cook down to not much of anything. And really, I was doing this mostly for myself, just so I'd have some yummy side dishes. My husband doesn't like collard greens or mustard greens, so I was like, I figured this would be nice to show you how I make them, or how we can make them, because like I said, I don't make them regularly, so certainly not an expert on this, but I thought it would be fun to add this to a video with the other side dishes, vegetable side dishes. So I'm playing with it because those ones are curly, and I feel if we're holding on any sand or grit, it's going to be these little suckers. So we'll let that soak, and let's get our meats and onions started. Got my pan here I'm going to use for sauteing the meat and cooking the meat and the onions. And I'm using a couple of tablespoons, not really even a whole whopping tablespoon of coconut oil. You could use whatever oil you want. I don't mind coconut oil in a lot of things. So, and such little, I don't think it influences. So I decided not to use the bacon because I think I got plenty of meat, and this really is going to be a small version. So right here, I've got pork neck bones. Kind of let me show you. These were $1.63, and so I'm making just a small batch. So I thought I'll put that in there. And then the other meat I have is pork shoulder blade. This is for a dish called Pozzoli or Pozzol, and I'm gonna make that sometime. But see, there's a lot of fat on there, so this is gonna render down and taste yummy, I think. In this is plenty of meat for this small batch. I probably could have used a few more greens, but and you'll see what I mean. But I'm just gonna cook it all at once, and I'll use my bacon for one of my other, actually two of my other greens that we're making. One being like a southern green beans, which I used to get all the time in Texas. It was, let's see if we can get that on here at once. It was little bacon fat, little bacon, little, I think, beef stock flavor, a little bit of onion. I'll wash my hands. Anyways, they get those green beans, or the way they cook them, I'm sure all the nutrients is cooked out of there. But boy, did they taste good. So sometimes we gotta have a little special treat to remind us of places we've been, right? So I know, like certain foods just bring you back. So we're gonna do a little salt and pepper in here. And I'm not measuring it out. I'm just doing a few grinds of the salt and pepper steak. Probably like more like a teaspoon if you were gonna measure it. So we did the salt and pepper. I'm gonna do a little bit of garlic powder. Probably got a whole teaspoon of that. And some onion powder. And I have this on a little bit more than medium. I'm just turned it down a little. I don't think I need it quite so high. So we got our seasoning. I'll probably add a little crushed red pepper to that, but I'm not going to do this second. I'm going to brown this a little bit, and then I'm going to throw my onions in there. Just take a few moments to brown this, because really just want to brown it and then pour our liquid in there after we cook our onions, so that we get all that good flavor out of there for our broth. So let's see, do I need it? No, I don't need it to. I just need to leave it be. So let's go ahead and rinse the rest of our greens, okay? All right, so we got most of that out, and ooh, that's heavy. So I'm thinking it looks pretty good. I'm glad though I rinsed it again, because it's a little cloudy, and I think mostly we got it pretty clean. I don't really see any sand in there to see it cloudy, so that's good and rinsed. And you can put this through a spinner if you want, but no worries, because we're going to be adding water to the pot, so if it got a little water on it. So I think we can go ahead and turn some of these pieces over. It already smells so good. All right. Just making sure all the pieces are turned over. Because they're quite a squished in there. I got a lot in there. Putting those bones on the side. All right, we'll let that cook a couple more minutes and we'll throw our onions in there, okay? It'll smell so good. All right, I've browned this about as much as I want to because now I'm going to add the onions in there. Let me tip that a little bit so you can get a look in there. And now I'm going to add the peppers, the onions. I did add a little more salt, a couple of zhuzhes of it over the top, and a little bit more pepper. And we're going to take one whole onion. I've got a yellow onion here. And I've chopped it, not super fine, but I didn't want big chunks, but I'll cook that a little. Okay, and this is smelling amazing. Get all those onions out. Right, so we'll cook that up a little bit. Cook those a couple of minutes or so, maybe 5 minutes. That's good. And then we'll add the rest of our ingredients. Let the onions pull up some of those brown bits on the bottom. Let me get a little closer. Sorry. Here we go. I gotta get one of those overhead cameras. So busy, I haven't had the time to do it. So you can kind of see how I'm just pulling up those brown bits. I'm kind of just wanting to sweat these a little bit. So I have this on medium low right now. And we'll come back in a couple of minutes. I'm gonna, now that I've had these cooking for about 5 minutes, I am gonna add a little reserved bacon grease. Now I didn't cook any bacon, but I reserved some of my bacon grease, so sometimes for little dishes are add, and I'm gonna use a good probably tablespoon of that, and that'll give it a little bit of that smoky flavor. Because like I said, I have a lot of meat here, I feel like, so I mean I guess it wouldn't hurt, but we'll see in the finished product. So let's get that melted up a little bit in there, and now we're gonna add I have some of that chicken stock paste and or chicken bouillon, and we're gonna put a whole whopping, that was like a whopping teaspoon. Actually use one of my iced teaspoons and fill that up to the brim. Let's put that in there, and let's put our little red pepper flakes. I'm gonna do 2 shakes, that's all, because I don't like it too spicy, but I do like it a little bit because I love that flavor. And now we're gonna add some water to that. You know what, let's go ahead and add our sugar right now. I'm gonna use not much, just a little bit. I'm gonna use 1 teaspoon of sugar, and I use the raw sugar, so I just think it gives that a little bit of boost of flavor. So I've got just a little over 2 cups, and I might just put another 1/4 cup. So kind of have like 2.5 cups. I said this is a small batch, so I don't even need all that. So we're gonna go ahead and bring that to a boil. I'm gonna put it on high. when I get to a boil, I'm going to start to put our greens in. So now I have the pot a boiling, and I turned it back down to medium, and I'm going to add these collard greens first because they're kind of thick. And I'm going to let these cook a little bit, and I probably could put these mustard greens in here, but I'm going to cook that a little bit. Let's see how many I could fit in here. And I see people just fill, yeah, see, that's already cooking down. So I can fit the mustard greens in there. I wasn't sure if I had to do that in 2 batches. And I see people have a whole, like they got a huge pot and they've got it up to the top. And you're going to say, wow, I can't believe how much this pot is going to cook down. But yeah, I can fit this all in here at once. Yep. So I'm going to start to turn this down to medium low. I had it on medium. First I had it on high to boil. Then I put it on medium. And now I got it on medium low. And I'm just going to push these down a little bit. And I'll probably add some vinegar. But I'm going to let these cook down maybe a little bit. Maybe wait 20 minutes. This probably will take maybe, we want the meat to get really tender. So I'm thinking like an hour and a half. I'm going to put the lid on, put my timer on. I'm going to put it on 15 and see where we're at. And just don't want it too high because you don't want to burn anything in there. So we'll put the vinegar on. We'll check, we'll see where you are in 15 minutes. We've had the greens cooking on low for about 15 minutes. So let's take a look at it. So definitely need to stir them. They're cooking down quite a bit, but they're still going to cook down. I have the meat green ratios kind of insane. That's why I didn't add the bacon, but that's okay. So we're going to let this cook down for a good hour, 15 minutes because we want that meat to shred up. But this smells really good, and this is when I want to add my vinegar. So I'm not going to add a whole lot of vinegar because it's such a small batch. I'll probably do like a couple teaspoons. There's 1. There's 2. And you could always add vinegar later after you cook them. That smells good. So, and I'll get a little close up of the pot so you can see. And so there's a close up for you. You can kind of see where it's at. I think I have this on the smaller burner setting. I might put it up to 2. Because I think that was a little bit too low. Hello friends, we're back, and I've cooked this for probably a total of a couple of hours. Let's take a look at where it's at, and I'm going to give it a good stir, and I want to taste some of this. It looks pretty good. And I feel like the meat is pretty tender, so I'm going to just turn this off. There's a lot of broth. I probably didn't need to use so much of the water, but let's take a close up. And you can get a good look at that. But that broth is going to be good. I'm going to pour that over rice or add it to a soup if I want to use some of that leftover broth. And of course, we probably should make cornbread or something to go with that, or even a hearty bread because I mean it's not quite autumn, Yeah, I mean, all these start to harvest right now during the summer, but this would be good over some rice or some rice and pinto beans or something. Let's give this a try. This is going to be piping hot. I said this is a small serving size. If you're going to make this for a family of 4 or 5, you're going to need probably 2 more bunches of those greens. I only had 2 bunches of greens because I just wanted to make a small pot, and I don't even know if I'll uh, eat all that meat, during the week because I just wanted to have something like for lunch or add as a side for my dinner during the week. So if I had leftover meat or something, maybe I'd use that in a soup, or so I would extend this meal out. But this has cooled down a little bit. Let's see if we can give it a try. See how it looks. And the meat is really tender. I don't want to burn myself, so let's blow on it. Still hot. Mm, mm. That is so good. Mm-mm-mm. This is such a comfort meal. Let's try just some of the broth. Oh my gosh, this is so good, y'all. You have to try it. So my southernness, my Texas, 7 years of Texas is starting to come out eating this dish. It's like I've been in Washington now for 5 years, so I'm losing some of my southern accent. Mmm. Oh, that broth is so good. So like I said, you could serve this just like this as a main meal. You could serve as a side dish. This is great. This is even delicious. Like, this is good for every night. This is good for a holiday. It's definitely holiday worthy. Mmm. Oh, so good. Let's see if I get ambitious enough to make us some cornbread. But I'm gonna go down and sit and relax and eat this. Let this cool down a little bit and get it in the fridge. And we'll see you in a little bit. So we're going to make our summer harvest broccoli salad. This whole video is delicious veggie dishes from the summer harvest. And we're going to start out by cooking some bacon because bacon makes everything better. You notice a theme here all week. You're like, okay, where's the nutritional part? It's still good for you. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. So I have about 1, 2, 3, 4. But I'm going to put the rest of this bacon. I used some of this bacon in, I think my green bean recipe. Yeah. And those green beans I had, oh my gosh, they were delicious. We'll see what order. Now I'm going to have to do this in the order of that, right? I told you what I already made. But not necessarily. I think you have patience. You can see a little bit. And I'm just going to do this whole thing because we can have some extra bacon for something else. Because I don't want to just keep, like, we're not definitely going to not use, you know what, this is going to be too much because I don't want too much grease. I guess we'll save 3 pieces, 3.5 pieces for something else. We'll wrap this real tight because I don't want too much grease to be in my pan. I always cook my bacon anymore Gosh, I've been doing it. I can't even think how long. But I'm going to wash my hands. I've been doing it like this for quite a while. I don't know if it's my daughter and son-in-law that had started me on this trend. It comes out crispy all the time, and it's such an easy way to cook it. So here we have all our bacon. Sorry, that wasn't all in the shot, but now it is. We're going to put this in the oven. I've got it at 355, and we're going to watch it. It'll probably take about 15 to 17 minutes. Let's get that in the oven, and let's go ahead and get ready to chop up that broccoli. With this broccoli salad, we're going to use broccoli. We're going to use a carrot or two, some chopped red onion, and some dried cranberries. We will use some bacon and some toasted sunflower seeds. Looking for my cutting board. Here we go. And this is going to be so yummy. And we're going to make our homemade dressing. Now what I'm going to do is, I do want to get some water started because I'm going to blanch this. You can make this very small, cut up your broccoli. And you don't have to do it if you want to just eat it raw. That's fine. I like it a little bit tender. The teeth aren't the same as they used to be. I'm going to blanch these for about 3 to 4 minutes and then put them in some ice cold water to stop the cooking. So let's go ahead. I had these soaking in a little water vinegar bath. Get them good and clean. Now at the ends, you see it has a little bit of brown. We're going to cut part of that, but we are going to use some of the stem also, so I don't want to throw away a whole lot. My friend Cindy from upstate New York, she makes the best broccoli salad. And I should have called her and said, please give me your recipe. We were there, I think last summer? Or maybe it was the summer for, I think it was last summer. And we had a nice cookout there. Yeah, it was last summer. Feels like forever ago. And it was just like old times. We had a bonfire and everybody brought their yummy dishes. So I'm cutting these broccoli flowerets very small, and I'm going to chop up some of the stems. I think I probably, what is that? Oh, it's a piece of onion. I was like, what in the world? Oh, it's just onion. Not to be worried. I'm going to cut these small and put them aside just for now. But anyways, what I was saying is, yeah, everybody brings something good. There's always more than enough. I think we had like barbecue chicken and who knows what. But it's such fun. Years ago when we lived in upstate New York, I used to go over their house a lot, and they own a few acres in the country, and they always have a nice garden. They always love to do a bonfire at night. And we just sit around and chat. That's like the greatest of times. I really miss that. But we're going to barbecue tomorrow night with some newer friends that we're getting to learn. That's the thing if you move into a new place. Got to get out and meet people and make friends and share stories and just have a good time. Getting to know people. Get off of our phones and get to talking to people. It's good. It's good. It's just good mental health. Having friends, choose your friends wisely. You don't want a whole lot of drama, right? There's actually people out there that don't have drama. I know we see so much on the news or even maybe on social media that, we sometimes think, oh, there's no normal, regular people. There's plenty. Just got to find your tribe if you don't want the drama. And you just encourage one another. So I'm cutting these small, and I'm going to put them in this metal colander, and I'm going to steam them. I could just put them right in and then just blanch it and pull it out, and I might very well do that. But I already cut that part off, right? Yep, I did. So I'm going to cut down to the stalk and get chopping. This will all be good part of the salad. Nice fresh produce. So I'm going to go ahead, chop these up, and I will come back when we're ready to blanch, because I don't know if you want to see me chop up all this broccoli. I have 3 really small little heads here of it, so it's not like a ton of broccoli, but once I add everything to it, you know, that's the thing I will mention when you're going to a picnic or you're having a barbecue, you know, everybody's gonna be bringing something, so you know, all adds up to a lot of food, and usually there's more than enough. So don't feel like you have to feed an army. Maybe you do have to feed an army, then that's a different story. But even if you're having 20 or 30 people, you know, if everybody is bringing some, you're just not possibly gonna. That's the one tip I will pass on. That's hard for me to always scale back, because I think I've cooked for so many people for so long, it's a hard habit to break. But I think once you become an empty nester, you get a little bit used to that, but I don't know. I'll have to ask my husband about that, how good. He probably has a different opinion about how much I scale back. But when we had 5 of us in a household, you know, at one point we had 6, because for years we were foster parents, my husband and I, to adults with developmental disabilities. So that was wonderful. We had extra people in our family and loved cooking and sharing life with those wonderful ladies. Can be very challenging at times, I will say, but it's a really great experience to be able to have people with developmental disabilities. You know, sometimes their family can't take care of them for one reason or another, and they might not have the ability, or sometimes one of the ladies I had, she didn't have any living parents, so there's people need a place to live, and it's a great what's the word, program to have so that people with developmental disabilities can live in a home and a family environment. So that was a great part of our life. Very busy, could be very challenging at times, but still a wonderful experience. I wouldn't trade at all. It feels very good to be a mama and a papa to even the elderly. You know, what I'm going to do is slightly salt this water. And when you're taking that lid, let me put this a little bit this way. You want to make sure you face your lid toward the back of the stove, not towards your face. And we're going to use probably 2 tablespoons of salt in there. And I'm going to dump this in here. And this really won't need to go long, so let's set the timer. We had it on the bacon. We had 4 minutes left, so we'll know that we only have 1 minute left to till our bacon we need to check on. So we're going to let this blanch. We'll be back in a moment. We've got 13 seconds, 10. And we've got that good and blanched. And I'm going to just shut it off and just start taking it out right now because I can tell it's already getting somewhat tender. Let's get a better shot for you. There you go. Trying to drain it out so it moves quickly. And we'll probably let it sit in here for 5 minutes. And this is just blanching it. So we're stopping the cooking process. We've got it a little tender, so it's just easier to bite into. Especially when you're getting older, the teeth don't always work as great as they did before. So I like it a little tender. And this will do it. So we're going to let these sit, and then we'll drain those. And let me straighten up a little bit, and we'll go on to our next step. Paper towel to soak up the extra oil. So we're not going to put the bacon in the salad tonight, but we are, or today, whenever. But we will let it get good and cool down, and then we can cut it up into bits. And before we leave for our picnic or barbecue, I'll throw those in there so that I still got a little bit of crispiness and flavor. So let's set that aside and let's drain our broccoli. Got a lot of moving parts, but if you're having company over or you're going to a picnic, a barbecue, you're having company over, it's just good to get as much done as possible. Then it makes that day of the event so much better. So what I'm going to do is just take this colander and I'm going to put that broccoli in here, and I'm going to put another bowl here. And yes, I am making a lot of dishes, but you know, this really isn't really messy. And I'll let that drip drain for probably 15 minutes or so. So it's not soggy. Everything's nice and crisp. And once we add everything else in there, we'll have a good little salad here. And while we're doing that, we can prep our carrots. I've had this draining for a good 20 minutes or half an hour, and I had probably like a half a cup of water. So I'm going to speed up the process and just go ahead, because on the bottom is still kind of wet. And I'm going to lay this out on paper towels. I double. That way, and we can pat it dry so we don't have a soggy broccoli salad. And like I said, if you want it more crunchy, go ahead. But if you like your broccoli a little more tender, then do it this route. So we're going to go ahead and get our carrots prepped, and then we're going to make our dressing for this yummy broccoli salad. So what I'm going to do with the carrot is I'm just going to take my peeler, vegetable peeler, and I'm going to take the ends. And so let's see if you can see pretty good. Let's go over here. Let me move this aside. I don't know if this is going to work. Yep. All right. All right. You can see a little bit better. All right. And I'm just taking to the end, probably like an maybe a half an inch, and I just go around that carrot and I keep peeling off little pieces until it whittles down to nothing, and then I just move up the carrot. That way you get little thin pieces. Because carrot's another vegetable, right? It's a little bit harder. And so this makes it a little bit easier to eat. Even for littles. They got little teeth. This makes it easier to chew. And you can use a little box grater. Well, a box grater will probably make it, depending on what side. Still a little bit more longer, and you don't want it mushy either. But this adds a nice little extra sweetness to that broccoli salad and gives it a pretty color. Down, yep. All right, so this dressing, let's get a whisk. Very basic. Some mayo, some Greek yogurt. And I'm not going to totally get my measuring spoon. It's been a long day, so I'm going to eyeball it. I want about a half a cup of mayo. Maybe that's a little more, a little less. No, it's definitely not a little less. And we're going to put a little bit of plain Greek yogurt. And we'll probably use like, oh, can't forget that little lid on there. Let's use 2 serving spoonfuls. You know what? This is 5.3 ounces. I'm going to just go ahead and put that whole bit in there. Because I might forget about that and I don't want to waste it. So let's go ahead and do that. Wash my hands. All right. And we're going to take a little bit of apple cider vinegar. And we'll put a couple of tablespoons of that. That I will get my measuring. You know what? This is a small batch. I might just use 1. Yeah, this is a small batch. If I was making a huge batch, I would use 2. But we don't want to have everybody pucker. We're going to get some salt and pepper. And we're going to use a little bit of maple syrup. We're going to use about 2 teaspoons. And let's do a little salt and pepper. And we'll give this a good whisk. I should get my little paper, make sure I've put everything in here I wanted. And some salt. And let me get my little notes. Yep, that's everything. Give it a good whisk. And you can give it a taste, see if you need anything. Get it nice and incorporated. I think that little bit of maple syrup will be good with the cranberries, and that's not a whole lot. It's just a little sweetener because the yogurt can be, oh, that is so good. Let's just do a little more salt and a little pepper, and let's keep this basic because I think it'll help the salad shine. It's the next day and our broccoli salad has been sitting in the refrigerator overnight, and we're going to toast some almonds and some sunflower seeds to put in there. So I already previously chopped up about a quarter of a cup, well, maybe a little more. No, it's about a quarter of a cup of almonds. I used some raw almonds, chopped them up. So so I don't have big pieces. And if you have like slivered almonds or sliced almonds, that will work too. That would be nice, but I didn't have any of those. So I have this on medium low, and we're going to toast these. And we've got some sunflower. These are no salt, and they're already roasted, but I'm going to use a half a cup of those. I love those. Just want to bring out the oils and the freshness. So we're going to watch this. Only take a couple minutes or so to, once you get smelling them release the fragrance. And we'll just keep our eye on them. Let's get our bacon. Remember we pre-cooked that bacon, and I've got 4 slices of that, and I'm gonna chop that up into little bite-sized pieces. I might use the whole thing. I just didn't have a huge salad here, so I didn't want to overpower it. I wanted the bacon to complement it. And I want to keep watch of those nuts. So you can see the salad. Let's give it a stir, okay? Because overnight I feel like it did get a little dry. So we might have to mix up some of our sauce now. Hindsight, I probably should have made it extra last night. And I could have added this because definitely this dried out because the broccoli and the veggies soaked up all that goodness. So I'm probably going to make a little bit more because I want it to be nice and creamy. I decided to add a couple more slices of bacon, and I decided I needed a little more sweetness. So I'm using the rest of my dried cranberries, probably less than a quarter of a cup left. But I didn't want it to be too sweet, so I didn't put the whole thing in last night because I was like, oh. But like I said, I added 2 more tablespoons of mayonnaise and a little bit of salt and pepper. Now we're going to take those nuts and seeds and put that in there and give that a good stir. That'll give us a nice little crunch. And let's get this in a pretty bowl for our picnic that we're going to. I'm going to use this black bowl because I think it'll be a nice contrast with our salad. Let's put that in here. I've had this bowl, oh my gosh, for a long time. It used to be my mom's, and she had 2 of them, and I gave one to my daughter, and I have one. But I thought this will be a nice contrast. Doesn't that look pretty? I'm going to save a little bit for me. The cook's got to try. And isn't that pretty? That is pretty. So now that we have that, well, let's put some good wrap on there. But I should take some pictures of this. Ta-da! Pretty. And let's give it a try. The extra cranberries. Mmm. 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 I love everything going on there. So you got the crunchiness of the broccoli, the carrots, the onion. You got that little bit of a sweet and a little hint of the vinegar, but it's not overpowering. I certainly taste the red onion, gives a nice flavor, but it's not overpowering. Perfect summer harvest dish. side dish to go with your dinner, to bring to the next barbecue. And